Welcome to Progressive Retail. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. Today, we're discussing the top challenges with initial lead response. Let's get started. When it comes to internet sales, we put a lot of emphasis on the total process inside the CRM. I commonly get asked questions like, how many times should I call or email a customer before giving up? Should I follow up for 90 days, 120 days, 6 months, or forever? In this frenzy to make sure our long-term strategy is set, we forget sometimes about the missteps in the initial process that may be costing you deals before your CRM even gets warmed up. After conducting and reviewing over 2,000 mystery shops, I wanted to share with you the most common offenses in the initial lead handling process that could be costing you deals. They're in no particular order as they are all important. Number 1, you don't set the initial tone in your communications. Think about it for a second. I ordered a pizza the other day online, of course, and after paying for it, I received an email. Now, the payment part is the equivalent of submitting a lead, right? So I got an email back that thanked me for my order and gave me what? The next steps. They told me what would happen next, how long it would take for my delivery. Most of the communications we reviewed didn't tell the customer what would be happening. Only things like confirming receipt of inquiry or asking them a bunch of questions about their inquiry. Number 2, out of 1,755 mystery shops in this example, only 52 dealerships actually contacted the customer within 15 minutes of their inquiry. It has been said for many years that response times drive closing ratios. Now, this accounts for factors, so before you send me emails saying, well, it's a 24-hour clock, no. This accounted for factors such as open and closed hours of operations. Response can be a staffing issue, a priorities issue, or a process issue. If it's an issue for you, which one is it? Number 3, the biggest surprise for me was the fact that during the calls we listened to, the vast majority, I don't even want to tell you the number, but the vast majority of dealership representatives didn't even actually ask the customer to schedule an appointment or commit to visiting the dealership. Now, if I ask anybody in the country, if I ask any dealer in the country, if I ask any general manager, what's the hope when a lead comes in and your people get them on the phone? What's the hope? They will tell me to get an appointment, to get them down to the dealership. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the overall philosophy of approach, and we can debate that on another show. But you must find the sweet spot between simply being an information database for the customer and a hardcore closer that makes people afraid of the dealership. Finally, number 4, the majority of the conversations that we listened to also didn't set a future action with the customer, meaning in the event an appointment wasn't set or scheduled, what will be the next steps? So will you be following up next Tuesday around this time? Are you sending over information? Is there someone that you need to check with and will call the customer back within an hour or tomorrow morning? Simply what will happen? At the end of just about every show on network television, they give you what? The preview of next week's episode. So you'll have some idea about what will happen next and come back to tune in. This is a very sound psychological strategy to consider as applied to your dealership. On today's show, we make a return to a favorite segment of mine.
Don't be ridiculous.
Where the parties involved shall remain nameless, but the story must be shared. So here's the scenario. A sales professional at a dealership is looking to get training, but has to pay for it themselves because the dealership, get this, has banned training. So this person is secretly signing up to get, I almost can't keep a straight face. They're secretly signing up to get trained using their personal email and all their personal information so they can get trained to get better, to provide more for their family, to increase their income, and let's not forget, increase profits for the dealership. When they say truth is stranger than fiction, it isn't more clear than in this example. To this, I simply have to say,
don't be ridiculous.
Finally today, I get it. There are a ton of things to pay attention to in the sales process. But first impressions remain of paramount importance when we talk about the competitive dealership landscape. In my presentations, I share that the average consumer is not confrontational by nature. This means they will go to a restaurant, have a bad experience, leave a tip, and never come back. See, they're not high A personalities like many of you that are watching this. They don't call the manager over and complain. And most, even today, still don't go online to Yelp or review their experience. We deal with the same issues in the automotive space. On a previous show, I read the autoresponder I got from a Honda dealer that when we were shopping for a car, they sent us. It turned me off, and we made another buying decision. And to this day, that salesperson and management team have no idea, and that template still continues to go out. So my question is now the perfect time to review, revamp, or reboot certain first impression points of conversation at your store? It's certainly something to consider. And that simply is the way I see it. Well, that's our show for today, but here's a question. Why aren't you and your team training with me? You need to check out our on-demand training, testing, and certification system, Mosley 24/7. This online training system equips your team with the new school skills they need to start selling more cars right now. Visit Mosley247.com for more information. Also, if you have an industry colleague that can benefit from this message, please share this video with them. This has been another episode of Progressive Retail with Cory Mosley, exclusively on the CBT Automotive Network. I'll see you next week.